Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. For me here, it's evening. So I'm looking forward to the beer I'm gonna have after this presentation. But don't be jealous, right? So thank you for attending this presentation. Thank you to Phil and Lenny to have invited us to this presentation. It's a pity we cannot be in Vegas, but in those times, we just didn't think it was advisable to start booking, plane tickets and all that. The situation here is not very good, so we probably wouldn't have been able to travel. So that being said, I'm glad to be with you, even if it's not physically. And today I would like to talk to you about ARSmarts. So we used to say that ARSmarts is kind of the Swiss Army knife for the remedy technical people. So basically, whether you are a remedy technical person working with filters and forms and fields and maybe active links still and things like that, okay? Or whether you are managing a large application and working with a large amount of data and fighting with hidden fields and things like that, you can use ARSmarts. So today we are going to give you a short presentation to give you an overlook of the product. And then I'm going to give you a live demo of the main functionalities of the tool. So ARSmarts is made out of a number of modules. I would say that there are basically two areas. There is one area about workflow. So there you work offline, okay, and you can do all kind of interesting things with your workflow, finding a way and things like that, right? And then there is the other area that is working online with data, right? So one side is workflow, the other side is data, okay? So once again, whether you are consultants, whether you work in-house for an organization with a large remedy application or several applications, right? Whether you are doing development or providing support on the remedy application, in all these situations, ARSmarts can save you a lot of time and can enable you to do things you even cannot do without it, right? So what will you give us? What's in there for you, right? Well, we'll give us a much better understanding of your workflow, an easy way to find what you look for, and we will certainly give you easy access to data and the possibility to manipulate your data like an administrator should be able to do it, and not like a user should be able to do it, right? Obviously, ARSmarts will save you a lot of time, will allow you to increase the quality of your work. So an overview of the different functionalities of ARSmarts. I will demonstrate all these in the demo within a few minutes, but just to give you an idea of what's ahead, right? So the first functionality is a browser that allows you to browse through your workflow. So you can browse through your forms. In the forms, you can find a field, okay, even if it's hidden, even if it's in no view, then you can click the field and you can find all the filters and active links and escalations that act upon this field, that read this field. You can go and look into cross-references and things like that. Basically, in that interface, all objects are clickable. So you can really follow the track, go from a form to a field, from a field to a filter, from a filter to another field, etc., etc. The next functionality I would like to talk to you about is a search functionality. So basically you can search through all your workflow and all your pieces of workflow. Once again, form, fields, filters, active links, escalations, menus, all these things, right? You can search in there. You can search on basically any criteria. You can search on any area of an object. Nice things is that the results are clickable. So if you find a result that is, 12 filters, you can double click on a filter and open the filter. Another very interesting feature is that you are able to refine your search. Basically, if you search for a filter, say I'm looking for all the filters that write information into a given field, right? Then you find 80 filters. You're like, wow, I'm not going to open 80 filters to find what I'm looking for, okay? So you can say within this patch of 80 filters, I want to search for another criteria. I want to search for all the filters that have a certain criteria in the run if condition, for example, okay? And so you can narrow down your search to find whatever you need to find. So this is a great time saver. The next functionality I would like to talk to you about is the compare functionality. So basically, say you develop a new functionality in your existing application. So you will start at T0, okay? So you will generate a definition file at T0. So that's your start position. And then during 1 week, 1 month, whatever, you develop, right? And then when you're done developing, then you extract another definition file from your remedy server. And then you say, well, I want to find the differences between these two, right? And the differences between these two servers is what you have developed during that week or during that month. What's interesting is that our compare functionality allows you to ignore irrelevant information. So for example, objects that are different only by the help text. Well, I want to ignore those, okay, because I'm not interested in those, for example, right? We will see that you can also narrow down what you are going to compare by using the search. You developed something in the change module, right? So that means that all your objects will start with CHG column, right? So what you can do is say ARSmarts, okay, first search for all the objects which name is beginning with CHG, and then compare these two between these two versions of my application. Also interesting is that you can compare overlay and base objects. So basically, you are comparing the application to itself, but you are comparing two different layers, right? So I think that is also very interesting. Another application is the Grapher. The Grapher will give you a graphical representation of the links between one field, one form that you select and any other forms in the application with which it has relationships. So whether it's a push field or a set field, whether it's a table field displaying data, whether it's a menu, whatever, okay, it will be shown in the graph. The graphs are color coded. Obviously, the graphs are clickable, right? You can export the graph as a picture, so very useful for documentation. We also have a documenter module that's very useful if you have to document your application and your developments. to respond to respect things like Sarbanes-Oxley rules and regulations, or rules and regulations in the air and space industry or pharmaceutical industry, right? Or just for you. Yeah? If you want to document your development, then you can obviously do a compare and say the result of the compare is my development of last week, and I want to document that. So using the documenter, you can generate documentation, humanly readable documentation, printable documentation. You can obviously personalize the layout, put your company logo, header, footer, whatever you want to. So far, I've been talking about working with workflow. So working with forms and fields and filters and escalations and menus, right? Now I'm moving to the other side of the barrier, if I can say so, and I'm gonna talk about the data manager. So the data manager will connect to one or more servers, right? And it will allow you to browse through your data, to create, to modify, to search, obviously. It will allow you to see the data in all fields, even in the hidden fields, right? It will allow you to make SQL search, which can be very interesting, okay? And it will allow you to modify firing workflow or not. I'm gonna tell more about that when I go through the demo, right? So I cover this, okay, create, search, modify, all the things you can expect. Export data, look at ARX files. If you have large ARX files, you can look at what they're like, okay, to better understand their structure. So always interesting. Also, I forgot to say, you can also copy and paste data between forms and servers, right? So if you're working with the CMDB and you have imported data in your test environment, right? And you say, wow, I would like now to move this information to the live environment, you can copy and paste that information between servers just by doing copy and paste like you would do in Word. That's a view of the ARX file viewer. And this is some of the comments that we received about ARSmarts. We did a survey recently, and we asked our customers what they were thinking about ARSmarts, and we also asked them how they were judging the tool, like, you know, not useful, somewhat useful, very useful, can't live without it. And more than half of the respondents said can't live without it, right? So you are warned, once you start using it, you cannot stop. Right, so that was my presentation. By the way, that's my email address, but we can take care of that later on. So now I would like to move to the demo of ARSmarts, right? I hope that you're still there, okay? I don't see you, but I hope that you see my screen okay. So I've got here, well, I can sort of minimize my virtual machine, okay? So this is the ARSmarts main window. I opened a number of applications, right? So for the sake of this demo, these are real customers' applications, but they're quite old, okay? Just to make sure we don't get into any problem with non-disclosure agreements and all that. I asked a few customers if I could use their application during a demo, and the answer was always no. So I stopped insisting on that, okay? So here I opened a number of applications, as you can see in the main window, we have basic information, right? If I look at this application, I can see I have 308 forms, I have 4,700 active links, etc., etc. I can click here, I see a list of active links, a list of filters, right? A list of active links guide. I can do some basic navigation from here. So I can double click on an active link guide. Now the active link guide opens, right? So this is the active link guide. I have the list of active links included in the guide, and I have in the cross-reference tab, I have the list of active links starting that guide, right? Obviously, everything is clickable. So if I double click here, I open the active link, and I can keep clicking and keep browsing through my object starting from this main window. Okay. The next functionality that I would like to demonstrate is the browser functionality. So here is what it looks like. So here on the left, I've got a list of all the forms in this application. If I open a leaf, I have a list of all the views of that form. So once again, I mean, the names of the views are quite strange, okay? But that's what that customer did. So I apologize for that. So if I click on the form, I have the list of fields in that form, right? So we can see that there are 375 fields in that form. Now, if I click on a view, I have the list of fields in that view. So in this view, I have 311. In this view, I have like 35, etc., etc. Now, the tabs here under are used, in fact, to narrow down the list of fields that you see in the table above, right? Right now, I have all the fields, right? But say I'm looking for a character field. So I'm going to go and list only the character fields. And here I have 127 character fields. Now, obviously, this is all browsable, so you can double click and open a field, right? Okay, so you've got all the information about that field, right? If I go in the attribute, I see that I have a menu attached to that field. I see that the menu is dynamically attached by an active link. So I'm double clicking on the menu. So that's the menu that is dynamically attached by an active link. So here I have the fields that are attached, the fields to which that menu is attached. So it's attached in a static way to this field in this form, and it's attached dynamically by this active link to this field. Now, obviously, I can double click here and I can open the active link, etc., etc., and I can so keep browsing, right? What is also interesting, I think, is the cross-reference fields. The cross-reference tab. So in that cross-reference tab, I have the list of all the objects that are somehow using that field, but are not attached to this form, right? So I have some active links, I have some filters, so I can see that this field is being tested by a number of active links, right? What else can I say about this? Maybe the foreign object tab here. So these are the foreign objects in regards with this form, CCMS claim. Okay, so I have, for example, a number of filters that are using this form, but that are not attached to this form. So these are filters that are doing a set field on another form and that are reading information from this form and pulling it to another form. Okay, I've got also table fields. So these are table fields that are on other forms, that are on a console or any other form, and that are reading information from this form. Now, I think this is very interesting because if you modify this form, the claim form, well, you want to take some of these into account, right? If I modify a field on the claim form and that this field is being used on a table field on a console somewhere, you want to be aware of that because maybe you need to modify the table field, right? So that was a quick overview of the browse functionality. You notice here that I'm browsing the different layers, okay? Base, overlay, object with an overlay, custom, right? Now, obviously, I can select and unselect what I want to browse through, right? The next feature I would like to show you is the search feature, right? So that's how it looks like. So on the left, once again, I've got all the forms through which I'm going to search, okay, and all the workflow attached to these forms, right? And then here I've got all the areas that I can search. So basically, depending on the object, you have all kind of areas, okay? Areas, a lot of areas for active links, right? Filters, etc., etc. Here you have restrictions. So you can say, well, I want to search only through the enable workflow or only through the filters firing on submit, things like that, okay? Same thing here. You can search only the base filters, only the overlay filters, etc., etc. Okay, so let's imagine, and that's a true story that happened to me a few years ago, but I think you can relate, and maybe it might happen to you also sometimes. Say the manager of a server, the person responsible for a server, tells you, hey, you know what? We are going to rename the way that network disks are being mapped on this server, okay? And the drive that is mapped on K is now going to be mapped on J, for example, for all kinds of reasons. So I'm like, wow. So if I do some run process and that I'm running processes from the K drive, then these won't work anymore, okay? So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find all the workflow that is running a process on the K drive. So I'm searching for K column and I'm running a search, right? And so ARSmarts is searching through all the processes, okay, through all the workflow, okay, where it finds a run process running on the K drive, right? Obviously, I can open an object and I can go here and I can see that it's running a process on the K drive, right? Now, what I can do from here, let me show you the document feature. So I can generate some documentation to document the results of my search, okay? So if I want to to save a detailed documentation, right? So I'm gonna say demo K drive, all right? And so ARSmarts is, well, you can see I've been practicing my demo, right? So ARSmarts is generating a documentation. You can see here which definition file it's coming from. You can see when this one was generated. You can see the search settings, okay? And you have a table of content, and every object is being documented, right? So that was a quick overview of the document feature. Now, maybe um, um, a quick view on how you can search and then refine the result of your search, right? Now, imagine that we found that we are having a problem with some tasks. You know, we have in our application a form called tasks, okay? And the tasks are being used from the incidents, from the changes, from the service requests. You can generate tasks and attach tasks to all these forms, right? And we are having an issue with the task form. And through some research, I've been able to come to the conclusion that the issue is caused by workflow that is pushing data to the task form. So I'm going to go and search for all the workflow that is pushing data to the form called whatever task, right? So ARSmarts is going through all the objects, okay? So finding a number of them. So you see here the counter. So what have I got? I've got 27 objects. So 27 is not that many, but imagine you would have 250, 270, right? Imagine you would have 10 times more, okay? You would want to refine the result of that search. So you go back to the search screen and you say, well, I want to search in the previous results, right? And I want to search, obviously, with another criteria, because actually I found out that the issue is only with tasks that have a status of closed, right? So we are pushing data to closed tasks, and that is not coming out good, right? So I'm going to search for workflow with a push field if condition containing the word status, right? And once again, I am searching in the previous result. So I'm searching in these 27 locations, okay? So I click the search button and I find 3 locations and I can open one of them and I find that there is a push field somewhere and it's pushing to the task form and I have the word status in the push field if condition, right? So that's how you can refine the result of your search, right? So that was it, I think, for the search functionality. The next functionality that I would like to show you is the compare functionality. So the compare functionality looks like this, and I can compare 2 or more applications. So here, just for the sake of this demo, I'm gonna compare 3 applications, all right? And I'm going to compare workflow and then forms. Okay, so I say, okay, ARSmarts is comparing the different objects from the 3 applications. So here I see, for example, that I have 214 filters that are different between these 3 applications. So in red, I have the filters that are in some applications only, right? 1, 2, or 3. I mean, you see this one is in 2 applications, but not in the third one, right? And then scrolling down a little bit, I can check, for example, the filters that are in green, and that's a filter that is available in each of the 3 applications, but that is not the same. And we can see that the action 2 is not the same. The push field action is not the same. So I can double click here. All right. I can double click here. Okay. And I can double click here, and I can put all 3 objects next to each other, and ARSmarts presents me the push field activity, the push field action, sorry, that is different. Okay, you can see that the 2 fields are not the same, right? So, and obviously from here, you can document as well summary details of all nodes or only of the current nodes, right? So that is one way you can use the compare application. Another way to use the compare application is to compare a restricted set of workflow. And to do that, I will use the advanced selection, right? So if I open the select object window, this is in fact the search window of ARSmarts. And basically what I want to compare here is all the workflow of a given module. So I want to compare all the workflow with a name beginning with SLT, because they have an SLT module in that application. So I click select. ARSmarts select the object that it's going to compare. Now here they are, okay? And I can say, okay, and ARSmarts is now comparing the selected objects. And you see that I have, for example, 135 filters that are different, and all the filters have a name beginning with SLT. Okay, so I have some filters that are in one application but not the other filters that are in the other application but not the first one, and then filters that are different between the 2 applications, even though they are present in both applications. Right? One more thing I would like to show you is the compare overlay possibility. So I have to select the right application. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to compare the 2 layers, right? I'm going to compare the base layer and the overlay layers. Okay, and for the sake of this demo, I'm going to compare the filters and the escalations. Now, this is a larger application. There are like 20,000 filters and 400 something escalations. So ARSmarts is comparing that. It takes a few seconds. And then ARSmarts will show us the difference between the base layers and the best practice development mode and the base development mode. So it's an application, it's an ITSM application in which we imported another application. So we have a ton of workflow that exists in the best practice development mode, but doesn't exist in the base development mode. But if I go down the list, all right, I have here a number of pieces of workflow that are present in both development modes, but that were modified, right? So not the same qualification, different if actions, not the same list of actions, okay? And obviously, I can double click on one and open it, and I can double click on the other one, and it will open in the same window because it's of the same application, but I can put them side by side here, and I can see one of them has 12 actions, the other one has 11 actions, right? So that's where the differences are. Okay, so that was about comparing base development mode and best practice development mode. All right, so okay, I've got 10 minutes left, right? So far, we've been working with workflow, we've been searching, we've been comparing, we've been browsing, right? We documented also, I did show you that, okay? So what I would like to show you now is the data management module. So I opened it already, so it's here, okay? And I've got a small application open in my virtual machine. Let me open this. Okay. Okay, I got the right password. Okay, so a little scenario just to show you what you can do with the data manager. Imagine that somebody is leaving the support team, right? The guy's being promoted or he's leaving the company for whatever reason, okay? And he is leaving the support team. So Alan Drew is leaving the support team, right? So what you want to do is you want to put his profile to obsolete, right? Now, the problem is, well, I've been practicing my demo. Let me refresh this. Okay. All right. Okay. Why doesn't it work? Yes, for whichever reason, I've got a timeout, but that's okay. You find the profile of Alan Drew, and you want to make his profile obsolete. And then you receive an error message, right? You cannot change the profile to the status because the manager has opened changes to its name. So you think, okay, that's fair enough, okay? I'm gonna go find the list of changes that are assigned to Alan, for which Alan is the change manager, and I'm gonna make somebody else change manager. But when you arrive in the change where you want to modify the name of the change manager, you cannot do that because there is some workflow making that field read only in that situation. So you are kind of in a catch-22, right? Now, the solution can be found in the ARSmarts data manager. So here I'm connected to two servers, all right? So if I take my first server and if I go to the people form, right, I can search. Now you see here, you have the list of all fields, even the hidden fields, right? Now I can search and I can use the advanced query bar here, or I can use the query by example. So I'm gonna look for Alan Drew, okay? And I find his name, and you can see here that his profile status is not hidden by workflow because I do not go through the remedy layer, the remedy graphical layer, okay? So I can change it here. Okay. So say I'm going to make it obsolete here. So I say here obsolete, and then I click the save button. But then I've got an error message saying, hey, there is a filter that's telling me that I cannot change this profile to obsolete because it has open changes, right? So I wanna look at that filter. So I just click that one button, and here it is. That is the filter that is preventing me to making Alan Drew's profile obsolete, right? So it's here, there is a message, and that's the guilty message. So I'm like, wow, you know what? Uh, just for now, um, I'm gonna bypass all that workflow, okay? And instead of clicking the save button, which performs a save operation on the server and triggers the workflow firing on modify, I'm going to do a merge operation. And the merge interface opens, right? And then here I can say, no, that's not the one I wanted to do. I can say, update old records with new records, and I can say ignore filter. Okay. And if I click OK, that is exactly as if I would write directly in the database. Okay. So it's dangerous, okay, but it's also powerful, right? That's the same with cars, okay? Powerful cars are fun, but they are also dangerous, right? So it's the same kind of philosophy behind this functionality, right? Now I only have 3 minutes left, so um, what can I do in 3 minutes? Well, I can tell you a story about the SQL Studio. So here it is. That's an interface that allows you to basically perform a SQL statement anywhere in your Remedy application, right? So my friend Jean-Louis is here. Jean-Louis, can you talk to us? You probably need to unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. All right.
Hello, everyone. So in fact, this functionality was developed on my request initially, because I had one concern, and one big concern. I was at that time playing with data set BMC discovery, and it's BMC.addm asset versus the BMC.asset, which is the golden data set that contains my CMDB. And what I wanted to do was basically find everything which is in my ADDM dataset, which is not in my BMC.asset dataset, because I had to make some cleaning. I do not remember exactly what, but I think that I had to mark all of those CIs as deleted. So what I had to do at that time was to go to open MySQL, request a password, request the access to the server to connect to that SQL and stuff like that, just to run my query. Then run it on the SQL Studio, copy all the results into a notepad, copy this notepad to my server, then run another search to get the list of all matching records, and then only modify this mark as deleted field to true to all those records that match my query. And in fact, I found it very time consuming to request all this stuff. So I requested Kais to include all those operations into one single and easy to use interface that we call SQL Studio. So just put MySQL and then act directly on the result within the console. And it was very interesting to have this result all together. So you just run a select and then modify what you need to modify, and that's it.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Jean-Louis. Now I see that our time is up. So that was, I think, a brief overview of ARSmarts. Now maybe I would like to show you one last thing before leaving. Where is it? I can take this one. I would like to give you a very brief view of the grapher. All right. So I'm generating a graph with all the relationships between one form and all the other forms in the application. So here it is. That's the graph that's been generated. The links are color-coded. You can right-click on the link. You see what it is. You can click here. It will open the piece of workflow. You can move things around. Okay. You can hide. What else? You can document. You can do all kinds of things. Right now, my time is up. So Phil, are you there? Or Lenny? I think I've eaten one more minute already. So I think it's time for me to stop.
No problem, Kais. Thank you very much, by the way, for your presentation. What a powerful, powerful tool. I was sitting here with a man who happens to work at a four-letter acronym that's responsible for things in space. I'm not going to use names, but anyway, he was talking to me about how powerful that tool is and how he needs those type of things for what he does. And he's developed similar things, but not as powerful. Thank you so much for your presentation. I don't see anything in the chat, and I haven't heard anybody ask questions over the speaker, although we have it here. So thank you very much, Kais. We enjoyed your presentation. And again, we're going to be giving away your the knives and the USB drives. Thank you so much, Kais.
You are very welcome, Phil. And then maybe here, you've got my email address. So whoever wants to contact us for more information, please feel free. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.